Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the CantinaMX podcast, edition 134, right in the thick of the Clausura 18 Liguilla. We're actually broadcasting during the last of the quarterfinal first legs in Morelia right now. They're playing a game that's just started. It's just started, so it's not like the game yesterday, the first game of the quarterfinals in the year, where after a minute there was already a goal in the Pumas the Pumas America match that we had yesterday.
No sirve para nada.
Just a very unfortunate result for Pumas, which we'll get into actually right away, because joining me at the top of the show is Albert Campa, who joins us from Kyle, Texas, which is in the southeast section of the greater Austin metropolitan area. Albert, how are you, sir?
Hey, doing good, John. How's it going?
It's going great. My name is John Jagu. Thank you guys for listening to us. Again, you can listen to this live. We're on Thursdays every Thursday, as close as we can to 9:30. We're actually not too far off this evening. We're 9:34ish or so is when we started. But and of course, you can listen to this in our previous editions of the podcast downloaded on iTunes. So we do appreciate y'all. And if you wouldn't mind, like us on Facebook. Just go to Cantina, just type CantinaMX podcast in your search bar. Come right to it. We're actually very active on that. You'll get a lot of information about the world of soccer, the world of football that we post on that. The Joel Aceves is very good about that. We also have a Twitter handle. We are CantinaMX_pod, where you can get some good information and general good humor, sometimes mala leche, on the Twitter handle as well. So please give us a follow there as well. Like I said, my name is John Jagu. Albert El Chiquis Campa joins us. Why do they call you El Chiquis, Albert?
That was a El Chiquitibum from the World Cup long ago. I just went with it. I forget how it started, but
well, yeah. that was your handle on Big Soccer, isn't it, Chiquitibum?
Yeah,
so I think people just started calling you Chiquis from that.
Yeah.
So, and it fits, and you respond, and it's it's one of the more Niño Popis nicknames that there are in the Mexican lexicon, but it certainly fits here. Chiquis, we got to get right into it. I know that Joel has joined us, but we need to have some unencumbered Pumas talk before we bring Joel on. And Chiquis, it was a 4-1. Like we said, not even a minute into the match, Pumas was already down. They were in no way had any kind of business being on that field last night. That the talent level the chasm is awful. The fact that Pumas even made the Liguilla, I think, frankly, is a miracle. Where they had that nice hot start, but in the last, 14 games, they only were able to collect like 10 points. So it's not like Pumas were world beaters, and they showed it last night. And again, the bottom line is that Pumas is bereft of talent on the field and in the coach's box and in the talent area. Just the whole organization needs to have a real serious come to Jesus, and they have 2 years to figure it out, because they're getting a massive reprieve, Chiquis, of not having relegation for the next 2 years, to figure out what it is, what kind of team they want to be. Do they want to be the academy guys, or do they want to be like every other Liga MX team and start spending accordingly? Because the hybrid that they're doing, where they're trying to be both, is just not working.
Yeah, I think it's all about the money. Like, money to bring in big names, they're going to need money, but it also they had to be like semi or full on corrupt to be able to have the academy, the installation, and all that infrastructure that they have, and then they had success. But it's pretty grim for Pumas.
When we had Martin del Palacio on for our 100th episode, which was, I guess, going about 9 months ago now, and what he said actually rings very true. In the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Pumas had no competition as far as collecting and cultivating talent. As far as getting the absolute best of the best, and their track record proved it. I mean, the list of players that you see that have come through, and in fact, we posted in honor of every time Pumas plays America on the in the Liguilla, you always have to post a tu caso because it's one of the greatest goals in Pumas history. And just the guys that were on that team, there was just three off the top of my head. Luis Garcia was on that team. Alberto Garcia Aspe was a very young player, but he played in that game, and Manolo Negrete. I mean, three, one absolute Pumas icon in Manolo Negrete, and then two players that worked their way through the system and then ended up going to other teams. And all three of them played in World Cups as well. And outside of Gallardo in this, and let's face it, I mean, the only reason that Gallardo is going to the World Cup is more of a coach folly than anything else. I don't think that anyone would be absolutely heartbroken or insist that Gallardo has to be on the final 23-man roster for Mexico, the Pumas wingers. So the talent isn't there, the scouting isn't there, the coaching isn't there, the front office is not there, and like I said, they have 2 years to get it figured out because otherwise, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and this season was sort of tricky because at the beginning when they had the good start, it was a lot of circumstantial, I guess you could say, wins, and so it sort of tricked everybody like, oh, Pumas is really going to be good.
It was I believe they called it espejismo. It was yeah. Well, I mean, and I think we even talked about that. We knew that it wasn't. I don't want to go back and play the tapes because I'm sure that maybe we were a little more optimistic, but I think that both you and I in the back of our minds knew that it wasn't going to last. But I mean, at least they played better than they did last season. I think that was.
They have those two players though with Alustiza and Castillo. Those are legit players. So that's what may have brought in our hopes up a little bit. But yeah, like you said, the rest of the team other than Gallardo. And
yeah. Now, for some reason, they have the Spanish connection because I mean they've had that Luis Garcia, the Spaniard, played at Pumas. They have this Abraham Gonzalez guy, number 10. The guy who's wearing number 10 and frankly doesn't deserve it. And then they brought in the defender Arriba. So obviously there's a promoter that they have some sort of relationship with where they're able to get players from Spain. So the only logical solution to all of this, Chiquis, is to go ahead and bring in Andres Iniesta for these next 2 years and just let him show Pumas what it means to play as a collective team. So hopefully we'll see Andres Iniesta wearing the coolest uniform in the world of soccer next year.
Yeah, we can dream for that.
On that note, let's bring in Joel Aceves. I feel bad that I muted him, but it sounded like he was driving through one of those tunnels in Los Angeles when we did mute him. But he is with us, joining us from Los Angeles, California. I'm not sure if you're in the OC or if you're in LA. Are you in LA proper or are you in the OC tonight?
I'm in Irvine.
Irvine. So that's the. Are we? Thank you. I was going to ask you if we were making some licuados, but Joel Aceves joins us from Irvine, California. Joel, once again, another Liguilla without the goats.
Yeah, second in a row.
It's very unfortunate. It's a good thing that Chivas was able to win the Conca Champions to take the sting off what would otherwise be a monumentally disappointing season. Actually, it is a monumentally disappointing season.
Yeah, the last 3 results are all defeats.
Maquillado solamente, Joel, por el trofeo de Conca Champions, a donde tuvieron que ganarle a un equipo dominicano y luego 3 equipos de la MLS.
Yeah, if only those teams were in the league, John. Chivas would be much better. But yeah, I think, and it's something I've been getting into it with my fellow Chivista, my fellow Chiva hermanos, Perfect Cambiarrayas, Pichichi, and to a lesser extent, Choli, if he's listening.
Unidos y divididos por el amor a la camiseta. Esto es Chiva contra Chiva.
Yeah, and that has been that Chivas league record is pretty bad when you analyze season by season with Almeida at the helm. It doesn't look good. It's pretty alarming. But I think him having won the league title and then him doing really good in the cup tournaments, it's kind of shielded him, from even the home field advantage, which is something I've been talking about for a while now. How poor, how you go to the Akron, you go to the Zombie Life, and teams know they could get points. You don't go in there with you don't fear going into that
exactly.
stadium.
I mean, they might as well go play in Fresno. Actually, Fresno would probably be better because I bet you the fans are better in Fresno than they are in Guadalajara. And they're absolutely right. The home field advantage, just the home field atmosphere.
Yeah,
is terrible. And what's so sad, Joel, is that when it comes to like the bigger games, like the Conca Champions or the Play America, and then again the thing against Tigres, is that the atmosphere was amazing, and there's no reason, for the quote unquote most popular team in Mexico to have such a moribund atmosphere that they normally have in the regular season. And I think a lot of that, Joel, is due to the fact that that Chivas has the most expensive tickets in Liga MX, and people they're not going to drive in traffic and pay 500 pesos or whatever it is that the tickets are to watch like you said, un equipo mediocre. They'd rather they'll go watch Play America, but they're not going to go watch them play Puebla.
Yeah, exactly. And also because they don't win at home a lot. If you were getting massive results at home, people would go.
Sure.
People would go, and I think there's only been one 3-0 win or a big win like that in Almeida's tenure. Only one.
People, try desperately. They do the marketing campaigns for this and that, and then they try and improve the game day atmosphere. You know what the best marketing tool is for a professional sports team?
Win at home.
Exactly, winning. Yeah, win at home. That is that will sell tickets. Win at home consistently, and that will sell tickets. Now, Joel, I'm glad you came on, and we'll talk a little more Liguilla. Hoping that I know that Daniel Preciado hopefully will join us after watching his Santos give up a late penalty to go down 2-0 to Tigres. Is that going to be the goal that proves to be the difference in the
I think Santos. John, I think Santos is paying the iron price. They lost some games at the end of the season that it's hurting them now.
They picked a bad time to go into a slump.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would have gotten Pumas, right?
Oh.
Hey now. You don't
have
to get ugly, Joel.
With all due respect.
You don't have to get ugly with this dude.
It did say with all due respect. No, but you go from topping the table and playing the team that is more accessible to now you're arguably one of the strongest.
No, you're right. I mean, by losing to America, they lost their opportunity to play either Pumas, Monarcas, or Tijuana.
Yeah, see, those were all games where Santos would be favorites.
Right. They fell to 4, but I mean, they played Tigres at 5, and then, by having this thing, then you boy, Tigres, Toluca, America, and Monterrey. So, yeah, so you're absolutely right. It was just a very unfortunate play. Now, I did want to ask you something, Joel. For years, and Ron's always talked about the patronato with Pumas, and their sponsor for years was CantinaMX. I mean, you can't really have a better sponsor for your squad. Oh my goodness! I think Toluca just scored a crazy good, like a 40-yard goal. The goalie got caught out, so they're up 1-0 in Morelia. But then CantinaMX goes away, and it seems like ever since CantinaMX went away, and the other one was with Deportes Marte. Those are the two big sponsors they had. They had CantinaMX and Deportes Marte. I mean, two pretty good Mexican companies. Very, very, obviously very rooted Mexican companies. Now they have DHL and Banco La Valana. I have no idea. I mean, seriously, I'm not sure what it is. But and I'm just curious if that's one of the reasons why Pumas has seen this slide. And I think another thing that we're seeing is this insistence of having to, and I'm just as guilty of. I think Chiquis is maybe not as much as me, but of bringing people that that know the Pumas way. Like Patiño was a player and he came through and he was an assist. He's been a Pumas, a Puma through and through his entire career. It's not working, Joel, as someone who has lived this. Is there something that for that you can recommend for and give us hope as a Pumas fan, or is all hope lost for us?
No, I do think it's the money now plays a part. It's gotten more expensive. Before it wasn't that many teams that would invest heavily. Now you have more teams doing it, and I think that's where Pumas. You were talking earlier there. You know, their previous method is it's just more difficult to pull off now.
Right. It is, and as
Even
Martinez pointed
Chivas,
out, they're not getting the players they used to get.
yeah, and you see it with Chivas that they open up the piggy bank, they spend money on all these players, and then a tournament later, that same team can't even qualify,
Right.
and then they can't qualify again, and they're having all these problems, and you even have Pulido saying we're lacking players, so it's kind of the same now where it's like teams are not expected to just spend more money, just because of the short term, because they're short tournaments, just less time to recover, and the Cantera's the other one, man, where like you said, now there's all these teams working the Canteras, where Pumas has to compete with them now. They probably don't have the same resources as like as like a Pachuca does.
Right, and I think and part of that is because of the fact that the Patronato is just they don't have the heavyweights that they used to have to help them negotiate those waters. Now, I have heard rumors that they're thinking about bringing Pachuca's Diego Alonso as Pumas' next coach.
Oh.
He was he won the Bicampeonato Diego as a player, so he's he's a former Pumas player, but he's been in Pachuca for going on a good while now. Pachuca. So that so again, I'm sort of thinking, well, you don't go to the old school ways, but you're bringing a player from the old school. It doesn't make sense. But he has also, seen a different way of doing things with how the youth have been developed at Pachuca. So maybe he can bring some fresh ideas. If Pumas wants to go that way, again, they have to make that decision. Are you going to be, an academy style team where you're going to concentrate, solely and fully on trying to bring in as many players as possible, or are you going to be a team that's going to, yes, we'll have the academy, the fuerzas básicas, but we're going to concentrate more on not just foreign players, Mexican players. So,
but what you said it there, John. Pachuca has shown that you could have that balance, but I would say Pachuca has had more consistency as opposed to like Pumas in the front office, that you've had this like internal struggle type people trying to see who's going to be the the mandamas right there. You got people coming and going, and I think it's the same with Chivas, with constant changing all the way. All these changes, they end up affecting the club.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, Joel, after the when they won the championship last year. I mean, we thought that the Chivas Comet was going to be in orbit. So, I mean, the whole season you're expecting Chivas to, and of course, the reality was that Chivas was. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button. But of course, I as much as I want to make fun of that, Pumas the whole time. Just absolutely terrible.
It's funny that we're saying they could be like Pachuca, but Pachuca's actually being like Pumas.
Right.
So Pumas could really just take their title back.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's what they're doing. That's what Pumas did for many years, and were, fairly successful with it. And then they sort of somehow they lost touch.
Well, yeah, I mean it's been 8 years. I mean 8 years where there's been a Pumas player of note that has gone on a bigger and better thing, a bigger and better career outside the Puma, and that guy was Hector Morena. That was Barrera and Efrain Juarez, kind of sort of, but they kind of fizzled out. Barrera because of the injuries and other stuff, and Juarez, for whatever reason.
Yeah, and Pumas would always have like notable national team players. Hugo
Absolutely.
Sanchez Campos, you said it, Asper, Luis Garcia. They, they've had a lot, man.
Manuel
Claudio
Negrete,
Suarez.
Gerardo
Yeah.
Torrado. I mean, exactly. We just go down the list. Yeah, it's very unfortunate, and that's why on the show when we say when Pumas is bad, it's not good for Mexico. It's bad for Mexico when and it just like it's bad for Mexico when there are no Chivas on the national team. It looks like there's only going to be a couple on the national team there as well. Now, gentlemen, I do want to mention that probably in about half an hour, 45 minutes or so, we're going to be joined by Kit McConico, who is the host of the Throw-In here locally in Austin, although I'm in Dallas right now. I'm in the Metroplex. The Sunday morning soccer show that airs on 104.9 The Horn. And he is, I don't know if y'all didn't catch Kit's appearance last time, he's a big-time River fan, and I'm going to have him tell us again how it was that he became a River fan, because the story, frankly, is quite fascinating. I don't want to give it away, but we'll have him retell us that, and he'll go into details of us, do a deep dive on Group D, which is Argentina, Croatia, Iceland, and Nigeria. Probably, at least in my opinion, the closest thing we're going to get to the group of death in this World Cup, and I think it's certainly for Croatia, Nigeria, and Iceland. I think that it's as big a toss-up as Group C as far as who will join heavy favorites. Well, not even heavy favorite, because we'll talk about that. How heavy a favorite are they really in this group? With Kid, and he'll join us a little
This group is almost similar to their 2002 group with Bielsa, and they had Nigeria and Sweden. The substitute
and England.
Yeah, that Clásico, but I'm not mentioning that because that's, it's always a big match for them. But you could substitute Iceland and Sweden.
Sure.
Nigeria's right there, and it was teams that
crazy.
Nigeria
has been in 6. This is their 6th World Cup, and in the 5th time that they'll be in the same group as Argentina. So I mean, they know each other, and that's just crazy. That is unbelievable that they've been in their group that many times.
Yeah, so I wonder there, man. And that 2002, even with Bielsa, Argentina ended up going home after the group stage. So who knows, man? It won't be far-fetched to something similar happen again, because this Argentina side just hasn't. They're very unpredictable, They could do one really good game and then all of a sudden play really bad.
Right. Now we do, before we get to Kit and talk Argentina, more so than we are right now, I do want to discuss, and I'm glad that you guys are on the show with us. So we'll get to the Liguilla a little bit later. I'm actually surprised that Ron hasn't joined us, because usually when America wins, it's
he's hurt.
He appears, but it hasn't happened yet. Let's see if we can we can conjure him. It's like playing La Volpe for Fernando.
You showed up after the Chivas win, so that was surprising.
That is true. But very late. I mean, like just as we were wrapping it up, he came in, and we had like our after hours show that was frankly very entertaining. But we'll see what happens. But I wanted to talk about this promotion relegation mess that the Liga MX kind of have done to themselves, because they're the ones that make the rules on how the league operates. And I think in a reaction to what happened in 2013, when Querétaro was relegated and La Piedad won promotion, there was a 5-city combo 3-card money shell game where Querétaro stayed up, Veracruz stayed up, La Piedad disappeared, a team moved from San Luis to Jaguares, and then San Luis is a team that ended up being relegated when they were doing just fine in the league, and we haven't seen or heard from San Luis since. So I think that's one of the things that they're trying to avoid. and they put a couple of rules in place. The first one being that if your stadium does not, I think the minimum is it 20 or 25,000? I thought it was 20, or maybe 25.
It's 20.
Yeah.
20. If your stadium has less than 20,000, then if you win promotion, you're not going to be able to. And out of the 13 or 14 or however many teams there are, and the Acenso, only 6 teams are eligible to make to gain that promotion. One of those being the Leones Negros, who play in the Jalisco, who lost the final to the Cafetaleros of Tapachula, which is down in Chiapas, the coffee planters, as they are known as, will be playing the Alebrijes de Oaxaca. So a nice little southwest Mexico little rivalry to get in. But despite the fact that they both have newish stadiums, they won't be able to make the jump into the first division because those stadiums do not have the appropriate capacity. And I guess my question here is, knowing that the people were building these new stadiums, if LiguillaMX was going to do this, shouldn't they have told these folks, hey, we're going to, in the next 3 years, we're going to make this regulation that it's going to be a minimum. So if you're going to build a stadium, make sure it fits the regulation. But it seems like what they would prefer to do is, hey, we know you have this nice new stadium, but you know what? Despite the fact that you have it, it's not going to matter because we're going to make sure that you never play in LiguillaMX because we're going to put this minimum seating requirement and your stadiums don't meet it. So there's no chance that you guys will ever get it. So very unfortunate there.
The other thing is the multi-propiedad is you need to not have that to be certified as well. So there's two obstacles: the stadium size, multi-propiedad, which that eliminates Dorados, Tampico, and Jaguares.
So it's okay for León and Pachuca to be in the league, but all of a sudden, you can't have these other teams in the leagues. And then of course the other stipulation is if this happens, then the team that's if a team wins promotion that is ineligible, then the team that is relegated can pay 120 million pesos, which is roughly about $6.5 million. As a fee to stay in, and if they can't come up with the cash, then they're relegated, and the league stays with 17 teams. And here's my big question: who is going to tell the rights holders, Univision, Televisa, Azteca, Imagen, Fox Deportes, or whatever, that they're going to have one less game per week for 34 weeks? So that means that they're going to have less advertising revenue. Yeah. So not the best plan that was hatching. Again, it just a completely reactionary plan. And did they involve the Acenso teams in coming up with this? We should do if we get a chance. We should bring on if we can the gentleman who works with Zacatepec, Michel Richaud, to see if he can talk to us about this situation. He'd probably give us a much more of a more detailed information as far as because again, another second division team that has a brand new stadium, Zacatepec, and I'm not sure if their stadium meets, and it's gorgeous, it's really pretty. I'm not sure if their stadium requirements meet the minimum requirements for LiguillaMX. Look here on this.
What's messed up is that Lobos WAP, the money that if they decide to pay that to stay in the first division, that money goes to the team that would ascend to help them be certified. So to help them with their stadium needs and all that, which is sort of weird that one team has to pay the other team to be able to make it to first division. And it's just all about money for these guys.
Sure. Now the Coruco Diaz does have a capacity of 24,000, so they would meet the threshold. And how amazing it is that because the previous capacity was 16,000, so this happened in 2014. So they obviously have had plans to make it back into the first division for a while. Because if anybody ever looks at the old Liga MX tables from the 50s, 60s, 70s, Zacatepec is one of the mainstays on those tables. So they are definitely a team that has a lot of history, tradition, and frankly, they should be back. If for anything, for us to get a chance to go down and hang at Tequesquitengo for the weekend and then go see the Zacatepec game, that'd be fantastic. Have y'all ever been to Tequesquitengo?
Never have, John. But to answer one of your questions on the televisoras, I think the two main televisoras are okay with that.
You do?
Yeah, Televisa and TV Azteca, and they could care less what the Fox Sports and what the ESPNs have to say.
Yeah, but they're going to have one less game too, Joel. It's not just going to be those other folks.
No, I know, but those are like, they've been at the helm of this, of these changes. They were part of it. We were even talking about how it was the Azteca they had been pushing for closing the relegation for 2 years.
Right. Well, see, that's the other thing. So they want to expand to 20 teams, which, if you look at their history, is something that they've done repeatedly. Not repeatedly, but they've done it before. So they obviously have some teams in mind that they want to bring into Liga MX. I mean, I'm sure
Black Lions.
The Leones Negros. I'm sure another one is San Luis, Atlante.
Atlante.
I'm not so sure if Tampico's on that list, but I'm sure
Irapuato is a good option as well.
Yeah.
What list?
I'm sorry.
What list are you talking about? Or if Atlante is on what list?
The teams, the preferred teams that they would want in Liga MX, because I think ultimately Liga MX is not going to expand to 20, but to 24 is what I think is going to happen.
Weren't they at that one time at one point?
I think they have been. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly.
But I think if they do 24, then they might not do relegation anymore. Then.
Right. Yeah. It would be you're exactly. I think that the second division would be strictly a minor leagues. Would be affiliated.
Yeah, minor leagues, which wouldn't even be bad if you just. Well, yeah, they'll just have all the young players. It'll be mostly for the youth teams.
Right.
Which you know what, John? It was already like that at one point, where 11 of the Liga de Acenso teams were all owned by Liga MX first division clubs. So Chivas had Tapatio, America had San Luis. It was all these other clubs, and you had Cruz Azul, Hidalgo. You had all these clubs.
Pumas, Morelos. What was America had? They had an affiliate team. I mean, the Liga Acenso was up to like 24 or 28 teams because of the fact that they had the affiliate teams.
But
and then they changed it, and they seem to be going back to that.
They have their youth teams already, though, don't they? Like they
do, but that was like a league, like a more. They did. They created the under 20 and the under 17 leagues, but I think those are like still very much like youth, and the competition is pretty poor.
There's some like older first division players on these teams as well.
Because I know it hurt. It definitely hurt Chivas. Chivas thought they were going to be fine having their players in the under 20, under 17 leagues. And they had a difficult time once they made the jump to the first team, as opposed to before when they had Tapatio or Chivas Tijuana or whatever affiliate, and you had all these players playing together.
So what's the solution going to be for this? Because the president is it Bonilla? Is that right? He was in Guadalajara for the final of the clausura del Acenso, and he's like the rule says, which always cracks me up because the rule says this and this, but then I'm sure by Friday, hey, we found a secret clause in the contract that says like they did with the TV contracts. So, I mean, the reality is that these guys can change the rules however they want, and they can do it whenever and however they want. I mean,
I was reading the rules, and it says the team must be certified, but nowhere in it does it say, or at least I didn't see anywhere to define certified. Like, what does certified mean? And only in an article that some guy sent me on Football Total does it say like 20,000 people in the stadium, and then the multipropiedad.
Oh, yeah, to meet the requirements, then I
Yeah.
think similar to what like Bundesliga does. So in order to have in order to be eligible to play in the first division in Germany, the clubs need to meet all these requirements. So I think Liga MX is trying to do the same
Yeah, but they
and improve the stadiums.
Well, I mean, again, that's fine, but and I have no problem. But again, to me, if you're going to take that route, which is perfectly fine, and I applaud them for doing it because you obviously want. I mean, I understand where they're going. Then make this announcement in 2012, right? Say, hey, by 2018, this is how we want the league to be structured. We want to bring up two teams, but the only way that this is going to happen is that every team has to have these requirements, Liga Acenso. So if you don't have this and if you don't want to do this, then we'll find a city, we'll find a sede that will want to meet these requirements, and we'll build a league of XX however many teams.
I do think they've been talking about it for years, you know?
Yeah, well, they're talking about it
and
implementing. You know, you talking about it and implementing are two separate things. For them to implement it after both Tapachula and Oaxaca both, built their stadiums that don't meet the requirements. I mean, it's just another. You know, I always say, saquen la pistola, le meten el balazo en el pie. I mean, it's just another example of how Liga MX and the FMF just don't have that long-term vision of what it is that they want to do. It's always reactive. They always want to, they want to adapt to what's happening now instead of planning for what will eventually happen in the.
Their interests change, so they need to adjust for their interests, their money grab, the things like that. So I see it as like under the table corruption type of stuff.
Well, it's not just. I mean, and again, we also have to understand that the people that run FMF are the owners of the first division clubs. It's not a separate entity, and then of course they're trying to make Liga MX a separate entity, but that again is run by the same officials. So they're all interconnected. It's not. These aren't separate silos. So we obviously have that to consider as well. So you're right. So they're always they're gonna line for their own. And again, I understand it's a business, and I get that. I have no problem with that. Just please, if you're gonna make decisions like this, let folks know that, hey, again, by 2022, we want to expand to 22 teams, but we want to make sure that out of those 22 teams, you have to have X, Y, and Z, just like the Bundesliga does. And then that way, instead of two teams building stadiums, they got in a 10 or 11 to, wow, we have a chance to, to do this. So let's do this properly. That's all I'm saying.
And this is also a league that teams are not paying bonuses. Teams are not even paying player salaries historically. So money is either like really an issue with the league and with teams, or the 1% wants to stay, like they want to stay up there and leave all the little guys hosed.
Now we do want to hear from y'all. They're listening to us live here in the CantinaMX podcast. Chiquis, do we have a number set up?
Yes, I do. I've tweeted it. It's 724-707-3826, and it'll ask for a PIN, and that PIN is 13118.
And the PIN is 13118. So again, for you folks that want to call in, number is 724-707-3826, and the PIN is 13118. We'd love to hear from y'all. Right now, we are talking Acenso in a little bit. Probably in the next 15, 20 minutes, we will be talking Group D with Kit McConico, the host of The Throw-In here locally, the weekly soccer show that airs on 104.9 The Horn. A big time River Plate fan, and he will tell us why he's a River Plate fan, and we'll discuss that in Group D as well. So, and again, we should, like I mentioned, if and when we should go to Zacatepec. Tequesquitengo is one of the. It's a nice lake, about an hour outside of Mexico City. You can go water skiing. They got a couple of nice little. They might even have a little golf course there. So you go and you have the weekend at Teques, as the kids call it, and then you go to the Zacatepec game. You go to the selva. Joel is working on his third smoothie of the podcast. We'll go to the Selva Cañera, and we'll watch a Zacatepec game and go back to Teques and have a nightcap over at the lovely little resort. Or maybe we can do an Airbnb or get one of those nice big 8-bedroom houses that they have that line the lake, kind of like Lake Travis, but for a more obscene amount of wealth.
Tequesquitengo?
Tequesquitengo. Yeah, it's TEQUES QUITENGO.
Oh yeah,
it's a cool little town. This was years ago. I was a kid, and I learned I tried to learn to water ski in Acapulco, which is an ocean, which is skied like it was nothing in Tequesquitengo. It's like I knew because I was like 8 years old. This is easy. So it is a very nice little weekend jaunt for folks. Back to the Liguilla. I was hoping that Dan would hop on, but we haven't heard from him yet. Tigres wins 2-0 against Santos. As we said, that they kind of had their slide. And Monterrey drew 1-1 with Toluca. Not Toluca, with Tijuana there in the Perrera, up in the Tijuana, San Diego area. I don't think that Monterrey will have any problem advancing there. And of course, the obscenely unfortunate 4-1 defeat that Pumas had at the hands of America, who it was, and again, to do it against them, it's one thing to lose, 3-0 to Tigres or whatever it is, but to do it to America, it's just.
Yeah, and America that had been inconsistent leading up to the game. Yeah.
Yeah, frankly, as a Pumas fan, you think, well, they're not being very consistent. They're ripe for the plucking. You have nothing to lose, and like I said, within 45 seconds. 45 seconds is all it took for America to go up 1-0. No sirve para nada. So it's just very unfortunate for Pumas.
Hey, but you made Liguilla, so.
Well, that is true. We did.
That's something.
Thanks to our big win against Santos, which unfortunately proved very unfortunate for Santos because it pushed them down to play Tigres. They lost 2-0 tonight. Daniel Preciado joins us from Escondido, California. Daniel, going to Torreon down 1-0 looked a whole lot better than going down 2-0 with that handball there in the 80th minute, and Gignac slots it home. Dan, what Smith song will you be listening to on the way to work tomorrow to console yourself?
Heaven knows I'm miserable now.
That would have been my choice as well, sir. Good to have you on the show, Dan.
Pleasure as always. Evening, guys. Aquí estoy. Dar la cara.
Yeah. Para poner el pecho a las balas, as they say.
Yes.
Well, Dan, were you? Aside from the result, is 2-0 insurmountable for Santos, or are they going to be able to make it happen?
Oh, anything's possible. No, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it just doesn't look like very feasible. Doesn't look very realistic. The team didn't. I don't see where they're going to get. They definitely peaked too early. That's what I was kind of hoping wouldn't happen. I was hoping they'd kind of right the ship, but they don't look very good right now, I don't think. And I don't know about you. I was.
Yes.
He muted himself.
Oh. He was auto editing himself.
His voice was cracking, and I think he wants to cry.
Well, he's back here.
Give him a moment.
Real quick though, this is what I think what happened on Santos though, and I don't know if I could be wrong on this, but I think that you play different when you're away than when you're at home. They were just defending the whole time, it seemed like to me, and I think they were missing Osvaldo. What's his name? The midfielder dude.
Osvaldo Martinez. Osvaldito.
And he's like the main, and they didn't have any like push forward, so.
It got so bad for Santos that they had to bring in Javier Cortés. I mean, that should say it all right there.
Yeah, I think he suspended Osvaldo Martinez for that one game, but yeah, I mean, I actually think they could come back and get 2 goals if they push forward and if they have him in the midfield again.
I mean, it's not like Tigres is completely infallible. I mean, and Dan will be the first to tell us that that Tuca is not the kind of guy that goes for the throat, so to speak. So you know that they're going to be.
That is true. They definitely lack that killer instinct.
First half,
a lot of times.
First half was sad. They weren't playing good at all.
And that's the thing. Like, they weren't really out of the game until that. I mean, it was just an ugly, scrappy match. But yeah, that penalty. I mean, it's like, I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, I think that kind of sealed it, though. To be honest, it's just it requires a really, really good game. I mean, it requires a lot of things to go right. So you essentially either have to win 2-0, because I think that'll be enough for them to progress.
Right.
Or we're talking a 4-1.
That's the minimum. That's the minimum.
Or a 4-1.
They cannot allow a goal. Exactly. So it's either win 2-0 or So
or even That's basically their.
Here we got.
Yeah,
now, I mean, again,
hard.
and as we have seen over the past couple of weeks all over the world, a 2-goal deficit is not anything that is considered insurmountable. So it's not like that sound. And again, even for Pumas, I mean, Pumas has come back from. I mean, they did it in the final against Tigres of all teams a few years ago. Now, granted, this team is nowhere near that quality, but it is certainly possible. Did you say we had a caller, Chiquis? Someone called in?
Eduardo is calling in.
Eduardo's calling in. Eduardo, good evening. How are you, sir?
Hey, good evening, guys.
Where are you calling in from, Eduardo?
Baltimore.
How are things in Baltimore, Eduardo?
Come again?
How are things in Baltimore?
Dead. Quiet.
Yeah. All right. Eduardo, what is your question, comment, or general observation?
All right. So, holding another title, this Liguilla, and yeah, you guys see Tigres winning it again.
You see Tigres winning it again. So you think they're going to go back to back?
Oh, I think so, but I wanted to ask for your guys' opinion.
Okay. Well, Eduardo, are you a Tigres supporter?
Yeah.
You are. So you want us to yeah, of course. I think Tigres. Honestly, it is wide open. I really don't think that there's any. I know that Toluca had their long run within the season, but Liga MX is so evenly matched that to me, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, the top 4 teams, I think we can all agree are like the class of the tournament this season. But those 4 teams can easily beat each other up. So is Tigres the favorite? I honestly, I think that. I think it's almost at this point to me, it's like even money on all of them. I think all of them have their own strengths and weaknesses that can be avoided, and everybody can beat anybody on any given day. I don't think there's one team that is head and shoulders above the rest at all. But we'll see who catches fire here in these next few weeks to see if that team is Tigres, then so be it.
Did we do predictions?
I think we did, and I think that I can't remember what we said. I should have written them down.
Well, I mean, okay. I'll stick to my pick. I was thinking Toluca. but I give any team a chance who's got like that marquee player like Sambu, which is why I kind of give maybe Santos a fighting chance. You know, if Giannini could find that early or season form that he was in. But teams like that, Tigres with all their players up front, you know, that have that. So, I mean, I think Tigres is an easy pick. They're favorites, I think, going into every Liguilla. But outside of them, I'm going to stick with Toluca. I think they're probably going to lift the cup.
Okay, Chiquis.
That's what I fear. I fear Toluca. Out of all teams, that's the one team I don't want to face in the final.
Well, if Chalk holds, you won't face them in the final. You'll face them in the semis.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if everyone beats who they're supposed to, and then Tigres beats Santos, then Tigres would play Toluca. And it's, I mean, the last time they played Toluca in the Liguilla, they actually won. So, I mean, I don't know if Chiquis feels it, but I mean, to me, it's hard for me to make a decision as far as, you know, who's the favorite, this and that, just because I do think that all teams are fairly even. Now, I will say that Tigres obviously has a lot more experience than Monterrey or America or Toluca, really, is because they've been in so many finals over the past 3 or 4 years. So on experience alone, then maybe Tigres would be a favorite. Would be a favorite there. Chiquis?
That's what I was going to say is I think like we saw with Chivas being a tournament team or a tournament coach or even a tournament player like Gignac being called Mr. Liguilla. That's a big plus for Tigres going in.
You know, I appreciate that people want to call Gignac Mr. Liguilla. He needs to score as many goals as Cardoso before that even becomes a consideration. So he right now he might be Niño Liguilla compared to Cardoso, because that's
legendary status.
Yeah, I mean that is
call him baby Liguilla.
Baby
Liguilla. All right, Eduardo, thank you very much for your call. We appreciate it.
You guys got it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, thanks for listening to the show. We certainly appreciate it. El Profe Cambiarrayas, you joined us a week too late. I thought that you might be on last week after the big win that Chivas had. Are you on to you know, just as a courtesy, Profe? I'll let you hear it just the one time. You ready?
Do it, John. I'm ready. A huevo, cabrones.
That summoned Joel back in.
Yeah, we had to play the Vicente just you know, for every Chivarmano that joins the show. Juan Uribe, how are you, sir? How are things in Long Beach, California?
Long Beach.
Buenas noches, señores, and esteemed gentlemen and ladies. It's going well. I just
no. Every time I think of Long Beach, I think of like the pier, and every police movie, like Lethal Weapon, whatever, they always have the big shootout down on the Long Beach pier. So I'm serious. It seems like it always happens. So how many explosions do you see down at the docks down at Long Beach?
Every day there's like, you know, you got to run for your life, man. Especially now with the trade war. You know, you got the Chinese drones flying over, dropping bombs.
Right.
No.
I understand.
You know what? What I got to run from is F-bombs, and because I'm the one dropping them, though. So
well, if you get out of line, don't forget, Prof. I do have a cop for you if you do get out of line.
No. Is that so? Who made you pope of this dump, huh?
Yeah, so.
I am glad he's on, though. I got some AYSO questions for him. I was wondering if he could lend his expertise at some point.
Well, if you want to fire away.
Yeah, dude. Real quick, do you think it's a good option early on?
AYSO?
Yeah.
Or what age are we talking about?
This is gonna be his first organized team where they'd actually be playing. So he's gonna be 5.
I would say he'll get touches on the ball. The coaching, the training will be crap. But at that age, pretty much all the training is crap.
That's what I kind of figured.
I would recommend. what I recommend, that's, but I mean, it's fine to get your feet wet, and then after that, if you really, if you know, if your child is inclined, find them a Sunday league team in Latin league, Mexican league, and maybe if
Gotcha.
there's indoor, find like a
Now,
5-on-5 indoor league.
Dan, if that does happen and your boy does start playing, I do want you to at least have one of these reactions. That's all we asked.
You know what?
Actually, I played there for you guys because joining us is the man who talked about earlier. He's the host of the Throw-In, the weekly soccer show here in Austin, heard on 104.9 The Horn. He just got done calling a rugby match. He's a huge River Plate, and he's going to tell us again why he's such a huge River Plate fan. Kit McConico joins us from I'm not sure where, but he's joining us. Thank you very much, Kit, for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm sorry it took so long. I am leaving the Round Rock Multi-Purpose Sports Complex, where the Austin Rugby Elite were able to come up with their first victory of the year. So it's been an entertaining and exciting evening for me, and I'm very happy to join you. Thank you again.
Was that 7s, 15s, 11s? What rugby were you calling?
This is 15s.
Wow.
Unfortunately, no Argentines were represented on either side. There were a pair of Chileans for the visiting New Orleans side. We talked a little bit about they were both fans of La U. I said some disparaging things in favor of Colo Colo, and they weren't too pleased with that. But
Wow.
it was very entertaining, and thankfully Austin was able to get the victory.
So making friends as always. I'm surprised there weren't any Boca Junior fans that you would have been able to laugh at for their Libertadores struggles that they've had recently.
Well, they're not out quite yet, and I was hoping that Junior and Theo Gutierrez would be able to knock them out last night, but unfortunately the own goal. It's going to be very difficult for Boca, but for the time being they are still in the competition, which is disappointing to everyone I know.
I understand. Now, Kit, we brought you on because we want to talk Argentina because in our series of World Cup previews, we're bringing on folks to discuss the groups, and we've had someone come on talk about Group A and Group B. A couple weeks ago, we had Luisa Chagara talk to us about Peru and Group C. So we thought, who better than the man who? And Kit, I don't want to steal your thunder, so please tell us and tell the audience again how it was that you have become a River Plate fan.
Well, I was lucky that I was visiting Argentina on a family vacation. My family and I went to a match where we met a gentleman who worked for the club, and he was impressed with my ridiculous knowledge of River Plate. So after the match, he took us inside the stadium. I met the then president, Jose Maria Aguilar. They took us to the trophy room. We went through the locker rooms. I met a few players, Coco Ameli, Turco Hussein. And I got to do something that very few River fans ever get to do. I got to walk on the pitch at El Monumental, where Argentina won the 1978 World Cup. And from then on, as then President Jose Maria Aguilar told me, you and your family are River fans, your children will be River fans, and that's been the case, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity.
Now, from that's an amazing story, and again, getting the soft sell to become a River Plate fan. Now, from that experience, did your love for Argentina come from that, or did Diego Maradona come over and do balloon animals at one of your birthday parties in order to get y'all to be Argentina fans?
Unfortunately, Maradona did not come to any of my birthday parties. He was in a condition I don't think he should have been around children, or he probably still should not be around children, to be perfectly honest.
You didn't get frosting tips from Claudio Caniggia to convince you to become an Argentina fan?
I did not.
No.
That
Wait. Out of all players, why Cani? Sorry to interrupt, Keith. Like, why bring up Cani, man? Are you trying to? Is the guy that left River for Boca?
Hey, I'm just.
Because, as always, John likes to twist the knife and find any spot where he likes to find any spot to, let's say, scratch.
I do not know what you're talking about.
No! ¡Estamos en la B! ¡Estamos en la B! ¡No!
I don't know what you're talking about at all.
Well, John, River, unfortunately, has won every competition they've ever played in. The only title they had not won was in La B. So River had to go to La B because they'd never won that title. So if you've won everything, you might as well add another title to it.
It makes all the sense in the world. Now let's I don't want to make this river talk, as I'm sure you would enjoy a thoroughly river talk. Let's talk Argentina. So they are in Group D, a group seed once again, as they have been. I think as long as I've been alive. When they make the World Cup, they're a group seed. But in this group, I mean, of all the groups, it's probably the toughest of all the groups. I don't know if you can really call it a group of death, but it's the closest thing to it. It's like the group of major cardiac arrest. They have Iceland, Croatia, and Nigeria. Nigeria again. Nigeria's in the World Cup. They're playing Argentina. Haven't beaten them. They've given them some great games, but they just haven't been able to come over the top. Kid, right off the bat, does Argentina get out of the group?
Yes, they get out of the group. I think they win the group, but it's not going to be easy. As you said, this is an incredibly difficult group. I don't think there is a quote-unquote group of death in this year's World Cup. But Argentina is in a very difficult group, probably the most difficult group. Everyone in the group is talented, from Nigeria, as you mentioned, Iceland, who's everyone's fan favorite, the Minnows, making their first ever World Cup with a population the size of Corpus Christi, Texas, and then Croatia, who is underrated in my estimation. I think the Croatians are always good. In Argentina,
underachievers, frankly.
Very, very much so. Argentina, I don't think that they are contenders to win this World Cup, even with Messi. Messi is in large part all they have. He got them into the World Cup. Without him, they would be on the sidelines. They would be back in Buenos Aires watching. But I don't think he is enough to get them into contention. I don't see them competing for this World Cup, but I do think they will win the group. And to answer your question, yes, they will get out of the group.
Now, that always strikes me as unbelievable, where people say, well, all Argentina has is Messi, when they have, arguably, in my opinion at least, the most talented group of offensive players in the world. Why is it that for the past, well, it seems like, I don't know, 8 years or so, I guess, why can't they get it together? Why can't they get it to why does it look like it's Messi and 10 youth soccer players when they
you hit the nail on the head, and that's exactly what it looks like. It's Messi and 10 people watching him. And people always say, well, how come he isn't as successful being Messi at Argentina as he is with Barcelona? Well, at Barcelona, he has people supporting him. He has people creating, people playing alongside him. For Argentina, he has people watching him. And you're right. There's an immense amount of attacking talent. You have players like Higuain. Say what you want. He's fantastic. He's missed big chances. You have Pocho Lavezzi. Di Maria plays well. He's played fantastically in World Cups. You have players of caliber surrounding Messi. But whenever they put on the Albiceleste, whenever they play for the national team, they all sit back in awe of Messi. And they all say, well, what is he going to do? And he's going to do the work. And instead of helping him and being in those supporting roles, because most of those players for their club teams, they're used to being the stars. They're used to being the goal scorers, or at least, if not the top dog, one of them. And all of a sudden, they're playing with arguably the best player in the world. And for whatever reason, they have yet to figure out how to play alongside him effectively.
Well, and again, and here's where I don't see why people can discount Argentina, because, yes, you're right. We have seen that, and yet they've made 3 finals in a row playing like that.
They have.
So obviously, to me, it's a testament not only to how good he is, but I mean, they're not that bad. I mean, they don't suddenly forget how to play soccer. But it seems like if they could just put it together, then, I mean, in my mind, they rock it. I mean, they are on the group of the group of the draw where they would play. I think it was Spain in the quarterfinals, if I'm not mistaken, and I think France in the semis. If chalk held,
right,
that would be. And there's no reason to me why they couldn't beat either of those two teams. I mean, they certainly have the talent to do so.
And I agree with you. They do have the talent. And that's always been kind of the catch-22 of Argentina, is that they have talent. They have immense talent. They always have. But translating that talent into results on the pitch has been an issue. Why that is, I speculate, like all Argentines do, that Messi is simply, he's the guy that everybody has their eye on. Nobody else really knows how to play with him. They're not sure what to do. They, in my opinion, they defer to him too much. And instead of playing alongside him and getting on him at times, and when he misses or he makes a mistake, they're afraid to do that, because He's Lionel Andres Messi. He is the guy, and whoever you want, Pele, Maradona, Ronaldo. It's a one-name guy. It's Messi.
Picolín.
Of course, yes, without the shadow of a doubt. And that is to Argentina's detriment. That being said, they have been successful, and they've made finals, but as good as Argentina's been historically, the bar is very high. If you don't win, it doesn't matter. Being in the final is not enough for Argentina. And unfortunately for Messi, if he does not win a World Cup, he will never be as great in Argentina as he is in the rest of the world. And this is something that most people don't understand. He is not as revered in Argentina as he is in Spain or other places. He is not the godlike figure, and this is because he has not won a World Cup. If he does, that'll change. But if he doesn't, he will always be second to Maradona and maybe second or third to some other players.
Now Maradona's Dios, right? And they call it Pelé el Rey. There's a shirt in Mexico that says, si Pelé es el rey y Maradona es el Dios, entonces Cuauhtémoc es el papi de los dos. A shirt you can find outside the Estadio Azteca.
That's a shirt you can find in any reputable tianguis in Mexico, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, maybe not in Guadalajara, but certainly outside the Estadio Azteca. We're talking to Kit McConico, who's the hosts the throw-in, the hour-long. An hour is just too damn short, Kit. An hour long, and Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. when people are, I guess, either nursing a hangover or driving to church. But you do get a lot of participation, and you guys are having a third anniversary this week. I wish I could go. I'm actually working a stupid track meet, but so I wanted to go, but I won't be able to. But you guys are having a third anniversary celebration this week.
We are indeed. We have been on the air for 3 years. We are the longest. We're the only English language radio show about soccer in Austin, and we've talked about it for a while. We've partnered with the Austin Soccer Foundation. So 10 a.m., weather permitting, we are going to meet at the AMSA Fields in Onion Creek, and we're going to play a pickup game, raising money and raising funds for the Austin Soccer Foundation, a very worthy cause. And afterwards, we're going to head to Luster Pearl on Rainy Street, and we invite everyone to join us, whether you're going to play, whether you just want to hang out, come out and support local soccer and say hi. John, we're even inviting Pumas fans, so you are welcome. Are
you inviting Boca fans?
No, Bosteros are. That is a question I've had to field more than once. Bosteros are welcome. There will be a dress code, and Boca gear will not be permitted because this is a high class event. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Heads up, slide tackles are permitted, is what you're saying?
They are indeed. And my co-host, Justin the Smash Simmons, we actually have a liability waiver that is written up with his name mentioned multiple times because of his poor habit of going into tackles 2-footed and with studs up.
That is, we don't want to, so this is a friendly game. We don't want to see anything. We don't want to.
You don't want to see a ball. You don't want to see bloody Boca jerseys?
There's a time and a place, but not at our charity match.
Oh, okay.
Now back to Group D, kids. So you said America. Good Lord, listen to me. Argentina the favorite.
Yes, I think America gets through. Cruz Azul, maybe Chivas, and unfortunately, I don't see Pumas getting out of the group.
Fire.
So out of the other three teams, who would you think would have the best chance then of advancing with Argentina to get to the knockouts?
I think Croatia does. Nigeria is a fantastic side, and all the hyperbole about them is always true. Yes, they're athletic, and they're big, and they're strong, and they're fast, but this isn't the best Nigerian side we've seen. There have been better Super Eagles sides in the past. I don't see them getting through because teams know what to expect from them. They're very direct in the way they play. Iceland is the fan favorite, as I mentioned. Everybody wants Iceland to advance. They want to be able to do the Viking clap. They will have a huge amount of support. And I may be wrong, but I kind of think that they have spent what they had qualifying for the World Cup. I don't see them being able to get by sides like Croatia, like Argentina. And so I'm going to go with Croatia. It's a very good team. They have players of quality. They have experience. And I think they'll finish second in the group to advance.
No. Usually Croatia's had they've kind of been unlucky. I know in 2002 they were in a group with Mexico and Italy and Ecuador, and I'm sure the Croatian fans thought that would be, especially after making the semifinals, but they weren't able to advance. And that was even after beating Italy, they weren't able to advance. And then again in 2006 they draw Brazil and Australia, and Australia knocks them out. And then of course in 2014 Mexico was able to knock them out with their 3-1 win. So to me, I've always thought that Croatia, after making it to the quarterfinals, I'm sorry, the semifinals in 1998, and by beating Germany 3-0, Franco, just a stunning defeat. They really haven't lived up to that since then, and so maybe this might be the tournament for them to do so. And of course, if they did make it through, especially if they went second place, they would probably play France, which would be a very appealing. And Croatia would, because of its proximity to Russia, will probably have somewhat of a home field advantage. They'll probably have a lot more supporters there than some of the other countries. So you're probably right. It probably would be good. I want to throw it out to the panel if anybody else has a differing opinion on those two teams advancing out of that group.
No, I agree. I agree, especially Croatia, and they have Mario. Can't pronounce his last name. Mandzukic.
Mandzukic.
That guy, yeah, and he's been on fire recently. So that helps to have a player like that going into the World Cup. It can make a big difference.
No, I mean it's not just him. They have Rakitic and the guy at Modric and all the other Iches that they have. I mean, obviously they have a great midfield, and like you said, the Mandzukic has been outstanding over the past few weeks for his club, and then they should. This is finally a group that I think that they can be that other team to make it into the knockouts.
They're definitely rated higher than Nigeria and Iceland. So I think for me, Argentina, they are favorites, but it's theirs to lose because, I agree with everything Kit says, but I also think this Argentina side, man, they seem a bit cursed. I think they could just sabotage themselves, and I was telling you earlier, John, how this group is kind of similar to the 2002 group.
It is.
They had Nigeria and they had Sweden, except we could replace Sweden with Iceland. They're practically the same. With only exception would have been England, and now you have Croatia. But fairly similar,
I don't think Kit wants to revisit anything that happened in 2000.
But I agree. I agree with the point made that this is a similar group to 2002. For Argentina, and if I'm not mistaken, they begin the World Cup. Their first match is against Iceland, and that's going to be extremely difficult. This is a team that everybody wants to do well. And if Argentina, let's say they draw that match, this is not a resilient side. They are not strong mentally. I can see them cratering. I can see them crashing. I don't think they're going to lose matches, but I could see them drawing Iceland and then maybe drawing with Nigeria after that. And if that's the case, I don't know. Maybe they're lucky to advance second in the group, or maybe they don't get out.
And that's a big point that you're making about being very resilient and mentally strong, because Messi not too long ago, I think, hasn't he quit the Argentine team like twice already?
Just the once.
Una vez de mentiritas y la otra vez.
Yeah, he did it after
this time for real.
when his team completely abandoned, where he had to literally make all the passes to himself and just totally abandon him. Yeah, you're right though, Kid. So they play Iceland first, and then they play Croatia, and then they play Nigeria. So they conceivably could go into that Nigeria game where they haven't qualified. They haven't assured themselves of qualification, which could certainly play into the Nigerians' favor there. Now, one thing I will say about Argentina with this group, except for maybe Croatia, and I think it's something that was brought to our attention when Juventus beat Tottenham in the round of 16. When was it Chiellini who said that yes, we were behind, but we were going up against a team that frankly has never really been in this position that often at all, and we knew that eventually we were going to make it happen in order for us to win the game. And I think that's probably what we're going to see when Argentina plays Iceland and even Nigeria. Maybe Croatia not so much, but I do think that the experience does count. Now, one thing I want to ask Kit, if y'all don't mind, is especially here living in the U.S. and obviously we follow Mexican soccer, and everyone's talking about how Mexican players need to play in Europe and American players, for Mexico and the U.S. They have to play in Europe, and both countries have players that play in Europe, and yet somehow they're still not managing to crack that top 10, top 8, or whatever it is in the world. They've acquitted themselves well, but they certainly haven't made a World Cup semifinal or whatever the case may be. So I guess my question to y'all is, yes, it is very important for those players to make that jump, but Argentina has 60 players that play in Spain alone. They have 30 players that play, and you just go down to every league in Europe. There's at least 10 Argentines that play there. So is it even conceivable for either Mexico or the U.S. to have that kind of representation in the European League in the next 10 or 15 years?
Well, for Mexico, it's conceivable. For the U.S., not even close. And I'm an American. I want U.S. soccer to continue to progress. But let's be honest, anyone who says that U.S. soccer internationally or domestically is on the same league as Mexico, that's just a lie. It's a flat-out lie. It's not even close. You talk about CONCACAF Champions League, and yes, Toronto had a good showing, but Chivas, to get a victory on the road in the first leg and then to go home, yes, it went to penalty kicks, but Chivas is a better side. You look at the top teams in Mexico, the top teams in MLS, there's not a comparison. Chivas, America, Tigres, they're better than the sides in Major League Soccer. And the gap it's not as big as it once was, and it's continuing to shrink, but Mexico is still a better league. As far as the national team, to put a blunt point on it, Mexico's in the World Cup and the United States is not.
So you don't see the possibility of Americans putting 40 players in Europe or 50 players in Europe or whatever the case may be, because it seems like yes, I do agree that for Mexico and the U.S. to get better, that they have to have players playing in the best leagues. I get that, but having 13 guys playing Europe is not going to cut it. No, you have to have it has to be, and the reality is that Argentines don't necessarily have to play in Europe in order for them to have a strong side, just because they have because there's just so much. I mean, there's 70 Argentines that play in Mexico for Pete's sake. I mean, right. there are Argentines everywhere. It has to be one of their biggest and I'm being dead serious. Well, one of their more important experts are soccer players.
It's actually their second largest export. And it's funny you say that, because monetarily, that is their second largest export. Brazil's the same way. Brazil and Argentina, more than any other countries in the world, are known for exporting soccer players. They play in every league in the world. If you go to the Thai Super League, whatever the heck it is, there'll be Argentines there that can't make it anywhere else, because that's what they do. There'll be Brazilians there as well. That is what those countries do, but that's what those countries have done for a century. That is what those countries, Argentines were playing in Italy in the 30s. Mussolini referred to them as the repatriated ones. This is nothing new. You've had Brazilians doing the same things. These are the only two countries that have this export at this level. Mexico, you're starting to see more Mexicans playing internationally for big clubs in Europe. It's coming slowly, but they're on the right track. I don't see them having the quantity in the next 20 years. It's going to take time, but they're certainly a lot closer to it than the United States is. In the United States, I don't see in my lifetime having the number of players playing in Europe. I just don't see it in the league. The league is nascent. This is the 23rd year of Major League Soccer, and it's grown exponentially. It grows by the year, but soccer is still, it's not the premier sport in this country. And one thing that Mexico has and will always have over the United States of America, soccer is the biggest sport in Mexico. You have other sports there, but it's the sport. Soccer is the biggest sport in Brazil. It's the biggest sport in Argentina. And because of that, you're going to produce more players.
No, you're absolutely right as far as the just the mass quantity of players that they have in and around the leagues all over the world. I mean, we see it just about everywhere you go, as you mentioned. And in fact, not only that, but I mean, they also appear on other national teams as well. Mexico's fielded a few Argentine-born players for their national team. I mean, most recently in 2010 with Guille Franco, who I'm sorry, Guille Franco.
Well, Mexico has, Italy has, Spain has. I mean, if you look at the Portuguese national team, they're always Brazilian-born players on it, and that's nothing new, because if you're producing that quantity and that quality of players, they're not going to be spots. You're not going to make the top 23 of your home country. So if you have the opportunity to play somewhere else, you're absolutely going to take it.
So they say that Argentina is Messi dependent, and people say, "Oh no, they're just they're whatever their argument is." And then in their last friendly, they lose 6-0 to Spain. Messi was not playing, and in fact, it was so bad that he actually left his luxury box because he was watching the game. It doesn't now. Is that something that should scare an Argentine fan, that result, or is that something what, it was a one-off, no big deal? We're moving on, or is it a big wake-up call for the for Argentina, that 6-0 result?
I think it should absolutely scare them. It just goes to prove that they do not know how to play without Messi. And I've said for a long time that Argentina has to make a very difficult decision. And it's not to leave Messi off the team. That's ridiculous. He's one of the top 2 players in the world. You obviously want him on your side. You want him playing. But they have to figure out how to play with him and not watch him. They have to figure out how to support him. It's not going to be Barcelona. Those guys play together year-round. National team is a different beast. You get together very infrequently. You all kind of figure out where your place is, how you fit in. And most of those guys, as I mentioned, they're the stars of their club teams. So they're having to take a back seat. They're having to play another role that they're not accustomed to. But they're doing that too much sometimes. It's too much deference to Messi. Too much, okay, well, we got him the ball. Now what's he going to do with it? One thing that when you watch Argentina play in the last few years, no one moves off ball. They just sit there, they give him the ball, and they watch him go. Well, as good as Messi is, he can't beat a team on his own. Certainly not in a World Cup.
Well, I will have to beg to differ, because that's exactly what happened in the group stage. In the last World Cup was and even in the Copa America they had in Argentina, that was exactly how they all got past. Was them watching Messi and just letting. I mean, I still feel bad for Iran. Had them beat, should have won that match against Argentina. They didn't get the goals. They hit the post a few times, and then it was at the 87th minute or whatever it is. They gave Messi just that extra half meter of space, and it was all over. So. It is shocking to me that a team with that much quality can look so pedestrian, even with that with a player of a caliber of Messi, where it is completely unfathomable to me that they play as poorly as they do, knowing how much talent is on that squad. I mean, Argentina's B team would be a legitimate contender for at least making the quarterfinals in any World Cup.
I agree with you, and that is in large part what is so frustrating to Argentine fans in Argentina and around the world. If you look at this team on paper, this is a world-beating team. You have some of the best players that have ever laced up their boots. And to make it even more frustrating, they've gotten to finals. They've gotten to World Cup finals. They've gotten to Copa America finals, and they have yet to win one. If this team had crashed out of group stages or of quarterfinals, I think that would be easier to stomach, more palatable than constantly getting to finals but not being able to bring the hardware home.
So they make it out of the group stage, and what does the head say and what does the heart say as far as their journey in Russia? Where does it end for Argentina?
Well, the heart says they win it all, and Messi has his storybook ending, and I just love every second of it. But the head is in emphatic disagreement on that. I don't see that happening. I think they can make a deep run. I think they can get to the semifinals. They are better when it comes to World Cup. I think if they draw, if they have a match with Spain, I think it'll be tough. I think they can get by Spain. But if it comes to another match with Germany or Brazil or even France, who I think is a fantastic young side, obviously untested, those are going to be difficult.
Well, they could either face France in the round of 16 or in the semifinals. So, depending on how the group, but Germany and Brazil, they won't play until the final because they're on the other half of the bracket. So, if chalk holds, which 9 times out of 10 it will in a World Cup, especially with the stronger sides, it would look like if Argentina gets first in the group, they'll play probably Peru. Poor Peru. They finally get to a World Cup, make it out of the second round, and go up against their biggest ghost. They're the biggest ghost they have, and then so they'll have that, and then they'll probably play Spain if Spain wins their group in the quarters, which would be just something that I think any soccer fan in the world would just love to see. And then if somehow manage to get that, chances are pretty high they'll play either France or Portugal or whatever, or whoever it ends up. So, semifinal seems like a very realistic thing. And again, if São Paulo, what can São Paulo do to figure it out? What magic buttons will he push to make Argentina figure it out and let them play as a team? Because if they get going, frankly, I don't think anybody can stop them.
Well, if they get going, you're exactly right. I think the only 2 teams in the world that could stop them are Brazil, which is always a toss-up anytime they get together,
right?
And Germany, because the Germans they've been Argentina's nemesis. They know how to lock them down. They know what to do. And that being said, that would be a fantastic final either way. Argentina is going to have to play better defense, something they are not known for. They're not going to be able to win all these matches scoring 4 and 5 goals. But it's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what Argentine team shows up. Is this a hungry team that is out to prove the doubters wrong, or is this the team that we've seen so frequently that has said, "There's the ball, number 10. Go do what you do," and we're gonna sit back and watch.
Right. Now, before I let you go, I just want to make sure: does anybody have any questions for our special guest here, Kit Meconico, here on the panel? Anybody?
Yes.
Joel has a question. Joel Aceves has a question for Kit.
Just who's your favorite to take it all in Russia?
I find it hard to go against Germany. They're an impressive side. They game plan better than anyone else in the world. They prepare for their opponents better than anyone else in the world. It is a stereotype for a reason. German efficiency is real, and this is a team that is going to show up. I think everything is clicking for them. They may not be the most talented individually. They're certainly among the most talented. But when it comes to big matches, they don't make mistakes. And I think more often than not in big matches, the mistakes lose them for you.
Agreed. One more question. Any favorites, any candidates to take over the U.S. team coaching?
That's a very good question. And I was actually a huge fan when people mentioned El Piojo. I don't think he would do it, but I thought that would be fantastic for the U.S. He would bring some energy, some fire, new life, which is something the U.S. desperately needs as a coach. You've had cardboard coaches from Jurgen Klinsmann to Bruce Arena. Neither one of them has been able to stroke the fire of the fans, get them involved as much as they need. I thought Piojo would be great. I don't think that would actually happen. That being said, I would like to see someone who wants this job, someone who's hungry. And I know that that's not really answering your question. It's not a premier job. So I would like to see somebody who really wants this job. There's some good Americans. Dom Kinnear, the former Houston Dynamo man, I think he's always been. I think he would do a very good job. He understands domestic soccer. He understands our league. So those are the names that come to mind.
Osorio has also been linked with the Post.
I would. Yeah,
we will write a letter of recommendation.
You guys can keep him. That's all I'm gonna say.
He's good at qualifying, though. I'll give him that.
Well, at this point, we would settle for qualification.
His organization skills, frankly, are second. He preps better than anyone, and everything except actually what happens on the field. Kit, do you would you favor a coach that wants to like change the whole system, or do you favor a coach that just hey, listen, we're playing tournaments. I want to make sure that we have good tournament results. What would you rather have?
I would favor a coach who they're all connected, and your U teams are connected to your national team. I understand that, but I would favor a coach who is focused on the senior national team, as opposed to kind of a CEO who's trying to restructure all of U.S. soccer, and this is how we need to do it. I personally think that's too big of a job for any one person to do. I would like somebody who is focused on the results of that senior national team and how they do and how they progress, as opposed to saying, well, here's a new curriculum for U.S. soccer for U8. I think that's just too much.
There's a curriculum for U8?
In this country, if there's not, we need one. Actually, the problem is, to answer your question, there is a curriculum, and that is the problem. Every other country, 8-year-olds get to play soccer and kick the ball around. In this country, we have a curriculum, and yeah, as you have all seen, it's not been to our benefit.
Fair enough. Well, one last question before we let you go, Kit. Have you met Tano? Have you and Tano shared your love for River? Did you think of Tano when things go bad for River? Go, man, I know I'm in a bad mood, but Tano, man, I hope he's taking his medicine because this is really rough.
I have never had the great privilege of meeting El Tano Pasman. I would be beside myself if I had that opportunity. Hopefully one day I will. And I've channeled him. I've thought about him. I've watched him during River games. And it just goes to prove that River fans are across the world. To that point, I might add, there's actually an official River filial here in Austin, River Platenses in Texas, and they are having an asado, a straight up Argentine asado on Sunday afternoon, and I've been invited. So I am in heaven. I'm going to spend my Sunday afternoon with the filial here in Texas, and the River fans are coming from Dallas. They're coming from Houston, and we will all get together. And I'm sure that there will be a lot of talk about El Tano Pasman.
Is there a match on that y'all can watch together?
There is a match that afternoon. We are excited. We will all watch the match. We will eat some choripan. We will hang out, and it's going to be a fantastic day. I'm very, very much looking forward to it.
That sounds like a lot of a lot of fun. Now River, as we button up back to them, they're looking pretty good in the Libertadores. They're probably going to make it to the next round. Or would you consider them as a favorite to take it yet again, or is it
absolutely
too
not?
Early to tell? No,
absolutely not. They are Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to domestic. That being said, they were in a good run of form domestically. They haven't lost in the last 10 matches, but they started off, they were just putrid in the Argentine Superliga. River's one of those teams that if they can win a few games, they have a chance. But I don't think they're one of the favorites. I think the Brazilians, obviously the defending champion Grêmio, is fantastic. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. But I would not put River among the favorites for this year in the Copa Libertadores.
Well, I mean, but again, it goes back to that whole Juventus Tottenham thing. If they end up playing like and again, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but I'll just call it, Team A from Country X that isn't a quote unquote traditional power. I mean, a River has a huge advantage in the sense that by showing up, that they're making that other team a little more nervous than they probably would be. Maybe even a little more motivated, but they know, we're going to have to really, even though this may not be the best River side, we're going to have to really, really, watch ourselves because it's still River Plate. So I mean, they certainly
you're
have
right.
that going for them.
And big teams know how to play in big games, and that is one thing they do have going for them.
Yeah. And do you think Muñeco will ever coach Argentina, or is he not quite ready yet?
I don't think he's quite ready yet. I would like to see El Cholo Simeone as the next coach of Argentina. I think he'd be fantastic. Yeah. But I think right now Muñeco he seems to be happy. He's doing his thing, and as fickle as River fans are, they weren't quite calling for his head a few months ago, but he was certainly, his seat was starting to heat up. But right now they're very content, and I don't know why they would not be. He's been fantastic, and I hope he stays for as long as he wants to.
And then I guess one last question before we let you go. The rumors are, at least in Mexico, are that it looks like if Osorio does not renew, that it's looking like Almeida would probably be the top candidate for the Mexico job, Matias Almeida. Do you think that would be a good fit for both parties, or?
I think it'd be a great fit to have Pelado Almeida. You see what he's been able to do at Chivas. He's been extremely successful. If he wants the job, which I'm sure he does, I mean, who wouldn't? That's one of the premier jobs in the world. I think it would be a great fit for both parties, and it would be mutually beneficial.
So now, do you think that if they ever have the U8 curriculum in U.S. soccer, they'll have I think that should be part of the curriculum. Kit McConico, thank you very much for joining us here on the CantinaMX podcast. We do appreciate you hopping. I know it's late and you call the game, so we do appreciate you decompressing with us on the podcast.
Gentlemen, it has been my most sincere pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. I'm sorry it took me so long to get on with you. It is always a pleasure, and thank you all so much for having me.
Well, have fun on Saturday at the charity event with the third anniversary of the throw-in, and of course on Sunday with your asado. It sounds fantastic.
It'll be a wonderful weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thanks very much, Kit, for joining us. We do appreciate it. Kit McConico joining us here on the CantinaMX podcast, talking Argentina for us on Group D. And as we mentioned, we had well, actually, Kit mentioned he thinks Argentina probably semifinals. Joel, it's a team that again, like I said, if they can get it going, I see no reason why they can't make at least the semifinals. I think anybody, Joel.
It's a coin toss for me.
Coin toss for you, Joel.
Yeah, it's like you said, man. It depends what team shows up. And I know their result against Spain wasn't too good.
Yeah, they lost 6-0, and of course the famous shot of Messi watching from the palco, and then he leaves after the fifth one, so he wasn't around at least for the sixth goal.
He couldn't bear to watch.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's ouch. So who knows, man? There's a lot of stuff that's been going on with the squad and even with the directivos.
Man, I want to know what I need to do to get invited to the asado on Sunday. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, Kid, man.
I do know Kid.
I think you just need to clear up your Sunday, and there you are.
Yeah, well, you know what? Because my wife is actually flying out of town. Wow.
Just do it, Yona. See some pictures.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to crash. No, I wouldn't do that. It's if there was like a Pumas asado, I might go to the Pumas asado, but I don't want to. By the way, crazy game in Morelia. It is 2-2 in the 81st minute. Morelia just had a goal disallowed, so they had a chance to go up 3-2, but the ref whistled no. So, Chiquis, explain to me. So Santander was the Chiva. He was the Chivas hombre número 12, right? And so yesterday he had calls that were, I guess one could say, favorable for America. So does that remove Santander from their thoughts and prayers when they pray and go to sleep because he showed so much favoritism toward America? Is that the gist of what we're hearing about his performance yesterday?
I think they took his picture down from the Chivas walls and burned it
from the Wall of Fame with
from the man of the match wall.
That's right. Because now, Joel, I think we've asked you in the past. So when you think of the great Chivas in history, and we asked you. So if you had an asado, Joel, if you could invite 3 Chivas, who would you invite to your Chivas asado?
I've been waiting for this question, John. Finally, I've got it. Obviously, Bofo, man.
Bofo, okay.
Bofo has to be there, and then no surprise, but the 2 De La Torres, man, the De La Torres bros, Nestor and Chepo. That's my 3 right there.
So Bofo and Nestor and
and Chepo.
And Chepo.
I'm big De La Torre fan as a Chivas. Yeah.
Because I mean, if you think of the escudo of Chivas, right? I mean, they might as well put a Torre there for the De La Torre family because they're so.
Yeah, they're just heavily linked with the club. Their family has.
Do you find that Nestor, when he calls a game, is more critical of Chivas than he is any other team?
I can't answer that because I've only seen him do the Chivas games. So I don't know.
Do you find him to be more critical, like harsh on?
No, I think to me he seems pretty spot on. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that we should invite Nestor to give us like a 4-year plan on how we should evolve the podcast, so we can follow Nestor's plan for the podcast?
Who knows, man? I don't know. He might be too strict. He might be too strict for us. He has that no party clause.
Yeah.
You know.
That is
right. He
right.
might fine us, and we are Cantina, so.
The only one that would be left would be Chiquis.
Doing everything.
That's right. It would be the Chiquis podcast with Nestor.
Chiquis and Ron. Ron does it. Yeah. But wait. No, he'll sneak out late night to go to read us.
That's right.
To a truck rest stop. So he'll get fined for that.
That is very true. So I'm surprised you didn't say Güero Real. I mean, I know you're such a huge Güero Real.
I am, but I think the stories those guys could tell just because they grew up with the club. I mean, talk about since little kids and
sure.
To have all your family linked to a club and to all the big moments and all that. It's just, I mean, I think they know. They really know like the inner workings just to pick their brain, you know, to see what's going on in there, or what's happened with the club. Just why would the club socios be willing to sell their stock to Vergara for so cheap? Things like that.
Oof. You're opening some very, very old and deep wounds. Now I might have to ask: is Profe with us, or is he still on mute? We'll have to.
I think he fell asleep.
We lost Profe.
He's tired. He's getting old and can't keep up with the little kids.
Because I wanted to ask him the same question: who would he? Well, I'll ask Chiquis. Which Pumas would you invite to your Pumasado?
It'd have to be your boys, the Picolín.
Okay.
Hugo Sanchez.
Oh, right. Nice.
And I gotta say, since he's out there kicking,
not Campos, and he'll show up with sandals.
Campos. I don't like Campos kicking. I like Tronquín. Seems like a cool guy.
Tronquín.
I would invite Caviño.
No.
And I would invite Hugo Sanchez, of course. And I mean, I can't not say Picolín because he's, you know, I feel like I'm his brand ambassador, or, you know, both of their brand ambassadors for that. But I would also probably consider Bora if given the
it's one of my favorites.
If given what, I mean, yeah, I mean, he, you know, Bora did as much for, you know, people always talk about Menotti. About, you know, but I mean, to me, the you know, Menotti built on the foundation that Bora set down.
Yeah, Bora took us to the quinto partido. And he coached in, what was it, 4 straight World Cups?
Yeah, and they went to the second round in every single one of those. And it wasn't until actually 5 straight World Cups.
Yeah,
and it wasn't until China, and this is a true story. China makes the World Cup for the first time. They get blown out, but I think they had Costa Rica, Brazil. I'm trying to remember who the other team.
Not Portugal.
Was it Portugal? No, it wasn't Portugal. It was. I can't believe I don't remember this. I forget who it was. Oh, Turkey. Turkey was the other team.
Oh, yeah.
And even the Brazilian, because of Bora, we're thinking, you know, China might win this group. because only because of Bora. That's how much respect
Yeah.
that man had the world over. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's coaching Qatar right now.
Wow. I didn't know he was still active.
Yeah, I think he's coaching. Well, he was in the when they did their presentation for Qatar 2022. He was one of the speakers.
Yeah, and he's also, his family has been involved in football, and his brothers since way back when. Go back to the, what was it, former Yugoslavia. But yeah, he comes from a football family, and there's a lot of history there. Yeah, I could tell you, who Profe Cambiarrayas would have.
Who's that?
You'll have
Hans?
Hans Westerhoff.
Right.
You'll have oh man, you made me forget. I had Hans Westerhoff, and he'll have Almeida.
Right.
He'll have Matias Almeida, and he'll have Conejo Perez. He is Cambiarrayas, so he will. Yeah, he wouldn't be complete without some Pachuca presence in there.
That's right, because he is two parts Chivas, one part
Pachuca. Yeah.
That's right. But we're trying everything we can to conjure the profe, and he's not. He is not responding.
Se quedó dormido.
Yeah.
Grandpa Simpson style.
So, all right, gentlemen. Well, here in the Liguilla, I think. I mean, it's looking Morelia is tied 2-2 with Toluca. I don't think we're going to get any major surprises going into the semis. I think America obviously will win pretty easily. Same with Monterrey. It's looking like Tigres is going to win at Toluca. So if that's the case, then we're going to see a Toluca, Tigres semi, and then a Monterrey America semi. So we could have the makings of another. I mean, any one of those four teams playing, on one side of the bracket, playing the others is going to be an outstanding final. I mean, them two really good teams going after each other in a final, whether it's Toluca Monterrey or Toluca America or America Tigres or Tigres or another Clásico Regio. I mean, would be. I know that Ron probably wouldn't favor too much playing the America Toluca final because he's, for whatever reason, he has a huge problem with Toluca, which he hasn't fully really answered. I think something happened to him in Toluca. I think that's why he holds such ill will toward the Choriceros. Is maybe things didn't work out for him down in Toluca at some point, which is why he holds not only the team but the whole city of Toluca in with ill regard. Well, we'll have to ask about that when and if he decides to join. I know that he's very busy right now in his architecture program that he is finishing up. So hopefully Ron will be able to join us over the next few weeks. So again, Kit McConigal joined us, said Argentina, Croatia making it through. Joel, you agreed, Argentina, Croatia. Chiquis, do you feel the same way? Argentina, Croatia making it through Group D?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I think as Kit pointed out, I think Iceland kind of blew their one. And then they also lost both to, not that again friendlies are not a barometer, but they did lose to Mexico and Peru both when they played their friendlies here. They open up against Argentina, which that might be actually the best thing to happen to Iceland, because go ahead, they might lose that one 1-0 or whatever it is, and they're, hey, you know what, we can hang with these guys, and then they can give Croatia and Nigeria all they want. But I do think that I don't think that Cinderella's slipper is going to fit them this year. And I do think Croatia does finally make it through, but they only make it through the round of 16 because I think that France will handle them pretty easily. Even though France did have a big injury today with their guy from Arsenal, who went down today in their Europa League semifinal against Atletico, which I believe Atletico made it through, and they will be playing Olympique de Marseille, which is Gignac's former team. So Gignac actually might have a chance to make it to the World Cup now. We'll have to keep an eye. On that. Do we have any other questions? See, even Sergio Cruz says Arellano is better than Messi on our chat.
Something he brought up made me think of Arellano and his little run he had, and especially the one goal I remember him taking on the left side and from a terrible angle scoring. He seemed more impressive than Chofis has so far in his little stint, in my opinion. I know I'll probably get a lot of hate for that, but
¡Cállese, carajo!
I mean, to me, I think the biggest difference between Chofis and just about anybody else that has come out of Chivas over the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I just think that Chofis has his ball skills, I think, are second to none, and he needs to figure out the rest of his game. I think if he can do that, then he'll be in good shape. But he didn't have no Chiva had a good year this year. I think that the Chiva, this was a throwaway year for them, despite them winning the Conca Champions, which amazingly over the past week has become the most important trophy in the history of CONCACAF. League or international, for whatever reason, now it's taken on monumental importance just because Chivas fans all believe that this is like just the most important thing that's ever happened to Chivas is winning this trophy. Like they're even saying, why even play the Liguilla? We've already won the most important trophy on the planet, the Conca Champions. Is this, Joel, the kind of blind loyalty that you have to fight through as a Chiva hermano to get them to be a little more realistic with their thoughts and expectations? Is this your constant battle? Is this why you became, Joel, the self-loathing Chivas fan that you were for so many years?
I think he did.
We lost Joel. Well, I was hoping he would answer
that. His realism when it comes to Chivas is like overshadowed by his fanboyism of the De La Torres, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's his. Well, I mean, I don't want to speak ill of Joel while he's not on, but the fact that he wanted to invite both of them over for his asado. I mean, what if Bofo asked him, hey, Joel, let's
bring Almeida.
Let's go behind the shed. Joel's not going to be able to go because Nestor is there. So he's gonna miss out on that opportunity. He has to behave himself because Nestor is there. It's very very unfortunate for that. So, and Sergio again agreeing with me, saying that that Cuauhtemoc is well, not agreeing with me, but agreeing with the shirt. That Cuauhtemoc is better than Messi as well. Well, Chiquis, it started off with you and me. I guess it's going to end with you and me here on the CantinaMX podcast. Does Pumas have a chance, Chiquis, here? Down 3 going against America, or are they just going to mostrar la cara and win 1-0 and everyone will be happy or whatever it is? And then does Patiño survive? Does Pumas have any chance to make it out over the next 3 or 4 years out of this ugliness that has overcome the team?
No, I think they have zero chance. And before in the season, whenever they got called out by the fans and the fans were talking to them, that looked promising. But now in a video that came out, the fans were like yelling at him, cussing at him, and they were actually upset and like throwing middle fingers at the fans. And Piojo's comments on not being overconfident even in this return leg. I think they're done. I think.
Yeah, you're probably. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, the reality is that it would have taken a series of essentially perfect games for Pumas to win this leg against America. Just because America has better players, they have a better coach, they have a better team, and they would have to rely on America's mistakes for Pumas to capitalize on. Now they did have some chances, but again, you can't go down 3-0 after 25 minutes or whatever it was yesterday, and expect that so I think that for Pumas to make the Liguilla, I think was good. They needed to get points to help them in the porcentual, but I mean they really do need to take a long, hard look over these next 2 years, knowing that they're essentially not having to worry about relegation because it's not going to be included in the next 2 seasons, to see in what direction they want to go. Do they want to be the academy guys, or do they want to be like every other team in Liga MX that contends and buy their way to building their roster, because their combination of the twos, and frankly just is not working and hasn't worked for the past 8 years or so. They just not. I mean, I can't think of any player over the past 5 or 6 years that has come out of Pumas that you're thinking, wow, this guy really has some talent. It's just not there. So hopefully they will be able to figure that out, because I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I think that if we didn't have this promotion, if the promotion relegation thing was still happening, Chiquis, I think it would be you and I that would be reacting this way.
No! 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 Estamos en la B! Estamos en la B! No! No!
So Pumas fans should be very, very thankful that they're doing away with promotion relegation over these next 2 years. Chiquis, thank you so much for joining us. Wow, we actually had a relatively short show this week. We're not our usual 2.5 hour going on.
Good stuff.
It was great. Thanks again, Chiquis, for setting it up. I want to thank Daniel Preciado for joining us, albeit briefly, and Profe Juan Uribe, as well as Joel Aceves that joined us. And we can't go off without thanking Kit McConico, who was the host of the Throw-In on 104.9 The Horn in Austin, for joining us and talking Argentina. Again, Kit, a big River Plate fan. If you didn't hear his story, he was given a personal tour by the president of River Plate at the time of the trophy room of the stadium itself, of the offices of River Plate, which is why he became a River Plate fan. So we do appreciate him coming on and sharing his thoughts, not just on Argentina, but on Mexican soccer and, of course, U.S. soccer as well. So we thank him for coming on. And we thank you guys for listening. I want to thank Sergio and MJP on the chat, always active on the chat. Sergio, I know that your America fans or your America team has a very good chance of winning the trophy. So we'll see how that pans out for them as well. Thank you guys again for listening. And again, you can listen to this podcast live every Thursday night on YouTube on our CantinaMX podcast page, our channel, or you can download this and every previous edition of the CantinaMX podcast from our space on the podcast center in iTunes. Please give us a like on Facebook. I know the Joel is very, very active with keeping folks up to date with not just what happens in Mexican soccer, but the world of soccer. Really some good videos and just a lot of very good information. And of course, you can give us a follow on the Twitter, where we kind of tend to do the same thing, but I think we're a little bit more, a little edgier on the Twitter, I think one would say. So we do appreciate y'all following us on that as well. Again, thanks everyone for joining us. My name is John Jagu, and we will talk to you guys again next week. Actually, I do want to mention efforting to get John Arnold on our show next week to talk Group B. John Arnold from the Dallas Morning News and Goal.com. CONCACAF writer. He writes for about CONCACAF beat writer and Mexico beat writer for Goal, and the FC Dallas beat writer for Dallas Morning News. Hoping to talk Group E with him, because Costa Rica has, frankly, a really good chance again to advance to the round of 16 with the draws that they have outside of Brazil. They have Switzerland, and they have somebody else. Who is it that who's in that other group? Serbia. Yeah. So again, Costa Rica has somewhat of a chance to make it out of that group as well. So we will talk to you guys next week. Thank you very much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll talk to you soon.